What is up, beautiful people? It's Wolf Brother Mythos. What is up, beautiful people? It's Wolf Brother Mythos. What is up, beautiful people? It's
Let's mute my own voice.
Beautiful people.
Let's mute my own voice.
Beautiful people.
All right, we're off to an amazing start. Let's try that again. What is up, beautiful people? It's Wolf Brother Mythos from the channel Frost and Fist, and I have with me special guest Jingle, because he decided, of course, right when it was time to turn on the camera, that he wanted to be held. So, infinite audio loop. Yes, sir, indeed. Yes, sir, indeed. I hope you're all doing well on this Friday. Ooh, man, it's been you know what? The camera can be a little high tonight. Enough of that. Now it's out of focus. Jingle, can we get the camera to focus somewhat? Maybe a little. He's like, all you're moving around is disturbing me. Sorry, I'm sorry. Infinite audio loop. I hope you're all doing well. Who took my dice? Have an amazing night, Mythos. I'll catch up later. Keep rocking it, dude. You have an amazing night as well, brother. Friendly neighborhood inquisitor. Yo, I almost forgot it's Friday. Indeed it is, my brother. Thank you for joining tonight. Hey, man, I definitely, I think I'm like a week behind on your content I need to catch up on. But I will watch it very soon, my brother. Good kitty, 10 out of 10. Yeah, he's a sweet boy. Lately, whenever I sleep or take a nap in the recliner, I'll wake up to him, all snuggled up with me in the recliner. So he's been my little snuggle pal, extra lately. All right. Is it time for you to get down now? Cat butt. All right. Can we? Nope. You want to stop about here, it looks like. Okay. I am going to, well, I would fix the camera, but I'm just going to be pointing at table down here in a second anyways. But it's good to see you all. And I hope you all had an amazing, what has it been, like 2 weeks since I've chatted with you guys? Man. And I'm going to go ahead and start the stream off with a little bit of bad news. I'm working next weekend too, so I'm here now, but I won't be here next weekend. Yeah, it's a unfortunate side effect of working and having to, make the money to pay for all these miniatures. So, but, we'll work it in. Real life pops in every now and then, and we just kind of got to work our hobby around it, right? Got to get it in where you can fit it in. So, having to sit down. I was having to sit down with my Jingle. I've got my mushroom coffee. Not that I'm sponsored or anything, but it's one of those mushroom coffees from Everyday Dose for anyone interested. Right? Exactly. This whole working for a living gets old real fast. I agree, my brother. I agree. Man, it's like work can just tell you when to show up or something. Oh, man. Well, we do what we can, right? It pays for life, it pays for our hobbies, and, of course, all the other things that we have in life. But what have we done? Well, some of you, I may have shared with some of you that I printed off a Custodes tank for my Custodes, and it is all primed up now, and it looks so much less piecemeal now that it's all primed up. And of course, I got it magnetized to the base, so that's cool. So yeah, little blaze tank. I'm having my first game with my Custodes tomorrow with Brother Atlas and his brand new army, his Space Wolves. So I'm not going to be fully painted just because, I've fallen behind and he's not going to, but it's going to be our last opportunity to play for quite a while. And we're just both kind of excited. We want to try out our new army. So we're playing about 1,500. This really bothered me. We're playing about 1,500 points. And this time, maybe? Maybe? No? Usually works. It usually works. We're playing about 1,500 points. And, yeah. He's playing his Space Wolves. He's playing a very elite Space Wolves army, which is totally fine by me because, you know, I'm playing Custodes, and they're almost always pretty elite as far as numbers go. Of course, some people would argue that they're less elite now with the codex, you know, a codex that is less powerful than it has been in recent times. But I'm not going to stress about that. I'm just now getting into the faction, so, you know, I don't even know what I'm missing out on. Power and internet keeps going out. May have to watch the recast. I'm sorry you're having to deal with that, my brother. Good evening, Ashley, and probably Greg too. I hope you're doing well. So, got the Custodes tank. Obviously, it's the only real ranged anti-tank in the Custodes with these heavy blaze cannons, and so. I mean, I feel like every army needs some good anti-tank, so it's not brought specifically for Atlas. But he's bringing a couple of Wolf and Dreadnought, so there'll be some armor to target. But it's mostly going to be on his side. He's going for a very thematic list of. I don't think he's got any battle line. It's mostly Wolf Guard Terminators, Thunderwolf Cavalry, and Wolfen. It's all the most wolfy of the Space Wolf units. You know, I don't think there's anything in his list that's not special to Space Wolves. Oh, and Wolf Priests, of course, Wolf Battle Leaders, and Wolf Lords. So, the fact that they're making up for the fact that Custodes was completely cracked for a while. And yeah, that's one of the reasons why, actually, because you know, this is my first time playing Custodes, but I've played against them many times. And I've always felt like, on the other end, I've always felt like they were a bit oppressive. So I'm actually, you know, kind of okay with them being nerfed a little bit. I can understand people's disappointment, but I'm actually kind of okay with it. And I was joking with Atlas. This is kind of my thing, right? I usually tend to get into units or armies right as they fall out of favor, right as they're not strong or powerful anymore, which is okay by me. Like, I'm a very casual player. I'm definitely not a competitive player or tournament player by any means. I mean, I may go to an event once in a while, but I'm definitely a very, very low skill, very casual player. So, yeah, it seems like a great time for me to jump in with them. I don't intentionally, I'm not trying to be like hipster, like I'm getting into them because they're less power or, you know, considered underpowered at the moment. That just seems to be the way I fall into things. Like, I tend to start using things when they feel less, or once people feel like they're less powerful. Part of that is because, you know, they're a little cheaper when they're not meta and top, you know, the top and everybody wants them. In fact, I was just sharing with Brother Atlas, the Virtus Praetors, the jet bikes, are like a $50 or $60 unit in the US. And some of my friends at the local game shop were mentioning, because I was like, yeah, you know, getting into the army just as, you know, people are falling out of love with them and they're not strong anymore, yada, yada. And they're like, hey, it's a great time to get some cheap Custodes. So I just kind of browsed the eBay for Custodes once in a while. And man, a set of 3 Virtus Praetor jet bikes I got for like $17 with shipping, under $20. And I mean, they're not the most efficient. They've got the Hurricane bolters instead of the missile launchers, but I mean, it's cool to me. So yeah. The only thing is that one arm was snapped off. The lance was snapped off. So, you know, I will either just find a bit. I think one of my local guys has said he might have an extra lance arm. And if not, I can always print one. So, yeah. actually kind of worked out for me, picking up Custodes on the cheap while people are falling out of love with them. Yeah, 17 bucks for a $60 unit. That's pretty awesome. So that's been pretty cool. I showed you guys the tank. I did last stream, I was painting. I was working on the last two of my Custodian Guard, which are mostly finished. The only thing they're lacking is the basing. Because I'm running out of time, they're just going to be black based for tomorrow's game. And the little airbrushed power weapon effects on the blades. And then, I mean, they've already gotten their streaking grime and their black oil wash, so they're mostly done. And I've done a little bit of the power effect on like the gems there, the ones I don't mind doing by hand. So the gems have a little bit of that power effect, and the little thrusters on the back have gotten a little bit of that. But yeah, I figure I'll wait until the Wardens are done and I'll just knock out all the airbrush stuff at the same time. Same thing with Valerian, and kind of cool. I don't like the head Valerian comes with. Before I couldn't get my camera to focus on my face at all. Now that I'm trying to look at the miniature, I'm all in high def now. But yeah, I got Valerian, and you'll probably see a little better when I go table down. Except for the cape, I got Valerian done, and except for the power weapon effect and the basing. But I put the helmet from the Blade Champion on him because I don't like the head that Valerian comes with. And I think he looks infinitely cooler with the Blade Champion's helmet. So I have made some progress this week. Pretty much the 3 models I was working on last time I did a show are ready to go except for basing and power weapon effects. So pretty happy with those. And I've built up my Wardens. It's a squad of 4 Wardens, and it comes with, if you choose to build them that way, a free Blade Captain. So I built my Blade Captain up. Again, I know the axe isn't the most efficient choice. I think the axes are cool, especially coming from, being a Space Wolves player. Hate to do it, but I gotta go. I'll catch up on the rewatch tomorrow. Got overtime again tomorrow. Man, take care on that overtime. Don't work too hard, brother, and I'll catch you later. Same thing on my Wardens. My Wardens, I've gone for the axe loadout. Again, I know the axe isn't the most efficient, by the way. This was my test Warden, and, he's pretty much ready to go. Just got to do the power weapon and the basing. But yeah, I like how the first one came out. But I've gone for the axes, and the AP2 on the spears is technically better. I like the idea of the strength 9 and the damage 3 though, even though it's only AP1. I'm going shield host, so I will be able to boost that AP1 up to AP2 at some point. But I just really like how the axes look, if I'm being honest. So yeah, so I've got 1 Warden ready to go for tomorrow's game. I've got 3. So I'm happy to put them on bases and play with them tomorrow. And I know some people frown on that, but I don't necessarily need mine fully painted. But I do want to paint some. You can see I've already started on like the robes a little bit and the blue armor. And that's because I want to be able to get underneath the robes here to the boots and the parts under the robes and stuff like that before I glue them to their bases, because I know once I glue them to the bases, all of this is going to be extremely hard to reach. And so I wanted to get started on painting them. Plus this guy here, he's the only one in the box that comes with a 2-handed pose, which I'm never a fan of the 2-handed poses. Just because of the way they cover the chest to make it hard to paint. So I am painting this in sub-assembly, and so now I not only need to paint under his robes and his boots and stuff like that, but I also need to paint where the chest is, so that way later on I can go back and, I'll have everything painted by the time I mount his 2-handed axe on. Because anyone who's tried painting underneath a two-handed rifle or two-handed axe or melee weapon of some kind knows it can be a pain in the ass. And in fact, I'm especially doing it now because all the little details on this custodian guard's chest, I did paint with this spear already glued over the chest. And it's because this was so much of a pain in my ass that I want to take the time to paint the Warden in sub-assembly. So that is the plan for tonight. Is we're going to try and get the Blade Guard veteran painted enough that I can put the arms on him and put him on a base. And then we're going to paint up the Wardens enough. Again, I don't necessarily need to get them battle ready, but I do want to get them to where I can glue them to the base. And in the case of the guy with the double-handed axe, I want to be able to, glue his arms in place. So that way, I don't have one guy who's just completely armless on the battlefield tomorrow. So those are the plans for tonight. How much am I going to get done? I don't know. But whatever I don't get done, I'll definitely be waking up to work on. Our game is not until around 6 or 7 o'clock. So I'll have some time during the day to do some painting. But I am going to need to remember it always takes me longer to pack and get ready for a game than I think. So I need to make sure I leave myself some time. Oh, Charles, I think I skipped over your name earlier. Good evening, my friend. Thank you for joining, and I'm sorry for skipping your name while I was catching up on the chat here. Ashley and Greg, I feel like it's been forever since I talked to you guys. I hope you're having a good start to your weekend, guys. I'm going to go ahead and blank the camera while I go table down. I will still be chatting, but I'll be with you guys visually in just a sec. So, what am I missing out on? What's going on in the world of Gamers with Coffee? Man, I meant to catch y'all stream this week, but as you guys know, I have been working the weekends, and that just has not been super conducive for being able to get any hobby stuff in on the weekends lately. Oh my goodness, pay no attention to how dirty that desk is. Let's focus that more on the painting surface here. It is really struggling for that autofocus. Let's remove the bright green and bright yellow. I know that often tends to grab its attention. Still autofocusing. Anyway, so here's the Warden I was telling you about that I painted up a little closer to the camera than before. Yeah. I mean, it still needs washes and it needs power weapon effects and basing. Because you'll notice I try and grim dark it up a bit on my Custodes, right? There's a black oil wash and streaking grime on these guys. And of course I wipe away all the excess and go back and re-highlight so you can see some of the blue coming through. But this one's still fully bright. Not washed yet. But it'll be good enough for the tabletop tomorrow. So these are the 3 we want to get on bases tonight. And then there's my Blade Champion here. Or as I hear him referred to on Heresy for Heretics, the Blade Wizard. And what I've been doing, so interesting, I've kind of changed up the recipe a little bit on this guy from this one. Only in that, like, the actual, the colors I'm painting on are still the same. It's still McCrag blue, and then Tesla blue, and then a 50-50 highlight of Tesla and Mediterranean blue. Those are still the same. However, the change is that the McCrag blue I didn't paint on before. I was McCrag blue primer, and so then I would just paint, you know, over the blue for all the gold and red and stuff like that. This time I'm starting for this, the Wardens and this Blade Champion, starting from black. Instead of having everything with the blue undertone, I'm just working my way up to those colors instead of having everything blue, which might be a little counterproductive, might take up a little more time. However, I feel like with the black undercoat, it's easier for me to do the golds and the silvers. So, I don't know, pluses and minuses, I guess. So, once I block in my blues on this guy, I feel like we'll be kind of in a similar boat, which I've already done, by the way, with the swords. I've got the blues blocked in and I've got the silvers down. Actually primed this with a silver primer on the blades, which will make, I think, it easier to do the power weapon effects later on, because you'll have a nice bright undercoat. And I'm starting off already painting this the wrong color. You go by the box art, his coat here is supposed to be red. I'm painting it blue, which some would argue is the opposite of red. And I don't mean like on the color wheel, because I think the opposite of red on the color wheel is green, but I mean like if you think of PvP, you know, red versus blue typically. And of course we'll do all of this in a couple of tin coats. So you'll notice for the same paint scheme I have on Valerian, I've done up a purple cape, which I painted on stream last time. But when I went to go do that for the Wardens, something gave me pause, and I decided to do it a red to match the plume on top of their head instead. And what that thing that gave me pause is that when I started thinking, because, you know, the purple is kind of an accent color back here on the cape, it's kind of out of the way, but when I thought about the purple on the robes there with, you know, the blue body and the blue arms, and I really felt like I was starting to paint in kind of a Skeletor vibe, and I'm like, that's not necessarily what I want for my Custodes. Skeletor's cool and fine, but it's not necessarily the look I want for my Custodes. It is kind of funny though, because, you know, I don't want to paint him up in the style of 180 show. However, this whole army, this color scheme, is inspired by an old 80s show called Captain Power and the Soldiers of the Future. So, guess I'm being selective on which 80s references I want to make with my painting. Man, I have tried to go back and find the old, because much like most of the cartoons and TV shows of the 80s, You know, most of them were designed to sell toys, right? And specifically, the toys that went with Captain Power and the Soldiers of the Future were like these jets that were like light guns that could react to different light sources on the show. And like underneath the jet was like a little pistol handle kind of thing, and you'd basically hold the underside of this jet. You'd fly it around, shooting at the enemy jet fighters on screen, and the vulnerable points for these enemy jet fighters and monsters would be glowing. And something about like the special way that it would glow would allow it to work with these light guns. And so like if the enemy blasted you with this glowing energy ball, like it really glowed, and your ship could detect if you didn't move it out of the way in time, and you would take damage. It'd make a sound like brrr. And you know, you had only a certain amount of life points on your or power points as they called it on your jet fighter, and it was like, check your power points, and you'd actually hit a button on your little jet fighter and it would make a beep for how many hit points you had left. Bum 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 bum. Which I think it was like 4 lives max, or 4 shields max, or whatever. The ship was white, but Captain Power himself wore the blue and gold armor. And he'd be wearing fatigues until he stepped into this, like, what he called the power chamber, which was this cool machine that, like, basically teleported his armor onto him. And he'd say, prepare to power on. And he'd put his hands on the sides of the machine, and he'd say, power on. He'd go through his little transformation sequence. All of a sudden the armor would be on him. It was really cool. It was like Power Rangers before Power Rangers. Alright, while that blue layer dries, we're going to put down some white for the leathers. I feel like I just had the white. Some bold titanium white. Yep. So yeah, that is that old show, which I don't know very many people who have seen it, but that old show is the entire the entire inspiration behind my custom color scheme. But also kind of just in general, even before I started collecting Custodes, I thought, you know, kind of the all, you know, the traditional Custodes color scheme was just so much gold that almost looked too much for my tastes. And so I kind of was looking for an excuse of some other way to paint them when I started collecting. That's when I settled on just doing something else, which ended up being this blue and gold color scheme. Which isn't the same as my ultramarines. I feel like it's different enough. It's two different color schemes. I mean, I know since this guy hasn't been washed yet, you know, he doesn't look like it, but I feel like the rest of my Custodes are, you know, darker in shade and a little grittier, a little dirtier than the way I paint my ultramarines. So I feel like it's different now. Alright, so we got the leather here on his belt. It reminds me though, I never did the leather on this guy's gauntlets. Alright. Trying to focus on not getting this bright white paint everywhere, because that would take some repainting. Especially since all of this is started from a black base and built up to brighter colors. I think just having a going in with a really bright white would just kind of undo some of that effect. I gotta say, doing my favorite leather color right now, and has been for the last, I don't know, 3 years maybe, is really bright colors. Sometimes I use pure white or gray sear. Sometimes if I wanted to change the tone a little bit, I'll use like an ivory color or a vanilla color. But that with gore grunter fur, which I know they have a contrast for leather called snakebite leather, and a similar tone to gore grunter fur is hard leather by Army Painter, but I don't feel like it does that contrast effect enough. I feel like the hard leather color kind of looks a little samey, like it looks like one tone. It doesn't add texture or anything like, you know, you might come to expect from a speed paint or a contrast paint. But I think gore grunter fur is similar in tone, kind of a reddish leather, and just does the job just ace. So it may look a bit super bright right now, But in about 10 minutes or so, when it's dry, we'll go back with that leather color and it'll look nice and rich. Might as well do the other bits of leather while I've got the paint wet. We'll do the gloves on the Blade Champion. Yeah, so I know it's a bit quiet because, you know, I know that channel hasn't been super active, and I apologize for that. And again, I know I'll be working next weekend as well, but can't be helped, unfortunately. But I do appreciate the patience of everyone who has stuck around, you know, and continues to watch despite the drop in activity. Ooh, man, I almost put out a video saying, hey guys, even though I won't be able to live stream, I'm going to do my best to put out other videos. You'll see this, and I plan on doing that. And man, these last 2 weeks have been such a whirlwind of busyness with work and stuff that I would have been straight up lying because I didn't have time to kick out any videos. So I'm glad I didn't over-promise, under-deliver. Here at the Frosted Fist, we only under-deliver. But I gotta say that as much as I was a little worried to be gone, come back, do one show, and then be like, hey guys, I'm going to be on again. Now that I'm sitting down and painting with you guys, I'm actually really glad that I'm doing it, because I have to say I missed this. Getting my paint on, you know, talking to you guys. I always say what keeps me doing what I'm doing is the fact that the hobby community is like the best community. I mean, we have our moments. We're not always the best community. You know. But I think everybody's got their moments, right? No matter what hobby we're in, you're going to see the best and the worst side of people in just about any hobby. And I got to admit, sometimes, you know, I'll let the salt get to me too. Kind of famous amongst my friends for it, because sometimes I get a little passionate when I'm talking. And because the chat likes to make fun of my saltiness sometimes, my lovely Lily actually bought me a shirt that says salty. Oh, thank you everyone who sent well wishes for her a couple weeks ago. Her graduation ceremony went off beautifully without a hitch. We went out and celebrated with the extended fam. Right afterwards, we all got, you know, we went to a ramen bar and got big bowls of ramen, takoyaki, which are the the balls of fried squid, which me and the family very much enjoy. It's mine and Lily's favorite ramen spot, and I got to introduce my brother Darklight Dreamer to the pork tonkotsu ramen there, and oh my gosh, it tastes like the broth literally tastes like you're drinking a pork roast. It's just so good. But yeah, it was good stuff. And then we went out and celebrated with her parents later that night. And yeah, just overall, really good time. Really, really proud of her. And yeah, so good stuff, good stuff. And I tell her all the time that she's smarter than me. Now she's got the degree to prove. Great. There's a mosquito in the house. Oh, with the return of summer comes the swarms of mosquitoes. Well, you guys see what I'm working on with my Wardens and my Blade Champion. Everybody else got any hobby on the go this weekend? All right, just 2 sets of gloves left to go. Man, I have been super addicted to true crime podcasts and let's read podcasts and stuff like that lately. Oh man, I just have it in my ears 24/7. Sometimes I wonder if you can listen to that stuff so much that it, turns you into a suspicious hermit. And don't get me wrong, I think it's good to have these kinds of warnings. But can I go too far with it? Can it become an obsession that keeps me from trusting it all? Hey, brother, sorry, I literally just got in so tired. Glad to see you streaming. What are you working on? So here I have the 3 Wardens. I've already mostly finished one. So I'm working on 3 Wardens to get them to playable tomorrow. And the blade champion here that I'd like to at least be able to mount the arms and put him. That's really the goal. Like, I don't even need to do a super fancy paint job or even get down all my metallics or anything. The goal was to be able to put them on, like, do enough of the underneath the robes and stuff like that, and under the legs and stuff, to be able to mount them on the bases, and do enough of the chest, especially on these two that have crossbody weapons, to be able to put their weapons on for tomorrow's game. That's really the goal. I mean, you know, if I get them painted up to the same level as the first Warden, great. But, oh. Here is the Custodes tank. And she looks so much better now that she's primed. Why are you making them look so good? They have no business being that fly. Just doing what I can, brother. Just doing what I can. So yeah, like, got the flying stand magnetized. Whoop. So yeah, she looks so much more less piecemeal now that, you know, she's all primed up. And I think priming just has the magic to unify how your work looks. Also, just kind of show you underneath, because I had all those drain holes, so I put some stickers, some square stickers down to cover some of those drain holes, and then covered that with a layer of glue. And yeah, it doesn't look like Swiss cheese underneath anymore. So yeah, unfortunately, I'm just trying to get to the foot infantry, as you know, able to be glued onto their arms and their bases before tomorrow. But the tank is just going to be primed black for tomorrow. I'm pretty sure. Doing what I can with the infantry, but I don't know if you're still listening, Steve, my brother, but you have a great night as well. Man, I feel bad because, like, everything's been so hectic the last 2 weeks. Not only have I not really been streaming on YouTube, but, like, my chat groups with all my friends and stuff like that, I've kind of, like, fallen behind on those too. I'm just like, you know, I like to be kind of a social butterfly, but man, it's just been so crazy lately. And my entire army is just pride black, so any color will pop like crazy. I'm so excited for us to play our new armies tomorrow. I don't know if any of you have any friends that you play with regularly. But Atlas being my closest friend into 40K, he and I have faced each other many times with, you know, many of the same armies. So the fact that we're both rocking new armies tomorrow is kind of really exciting. Exciting because I want to see what he does with his Space Wolves army, you know, and see how it goes. Especially like when Atlas gets into an army, it is always something like unlike what everybody else is running. Something that definitely makes you stop and think, like, what's going on here? And then also excitement because, you know, like, I've been collecting Custodes for, oh man, a couple of years now. And I vowed at the beginning of this year, this would be the year I get them to being a playable level. So Atlas and I were talking yesterday, and I'm estimating that by the end of the summer, I will have at least 2,000 points painted up. Because tomorrow we're playing 1,500, and while I won't be fully painted for tomorrow, I will have started on the Warden squad, and finishing the Warden squad and the tank there and the Blade Champion will be the only things I need to be at 1,500 painted. I have those Virtus Praetors that you guys saw at the beginning of the stream. I'm going to make one of those my captain on jet bike. So that'll add some points. And then at some point I would like to get either another squad of... Oh, and I have an entire still new in box of Terminators, the Lars Terminator, that I have sitting on my coffee table to put together right now, which made my wife smile, because that's 2 boxes. This box of Wardens that I'm painting up right now and the box of Terminators came out from my, now you can't see, but behind me I have a stack of boxes that I told my wife I'd try and work on, you know, getting painted up from my pile of shame. And so that's 2 boxes I was able to withdraw. So hey, that is the gloves partially done. I mean, I still got to go back and do the leather color, but all right. Now before we do the metallic for the boots, we're going to do the inside of the robes. The mountain of shame. We all have them. Yes. Man, work has priority. And like I said, if you would stop being so freaking reliable, maybe they would stop asking you to do so much. What? 30 Wolfguard? Isn't that the normal? Yeah. No, like I said, so Atlas's theory behind his list he's bringing, and that he's building actually, is all 4 up invul saves. So he's taking Thunderwolves with Storm Shields, he's taking Wolfguard with Storm Shields, he's taking, of course, Wolfguard Terminators with Storm Shields, and he's taking Wolfen with Storm Shields. Storm Shields all over the place. That's the army. Oh, and Wolfen Dreadnought with Storm Shields. Coffee break. Before we start on the next leg of the painting journey. So this guy pretty much, I painted up during D&D last night, if you can believe it. I was really surprised to be mostly done by the end of our session. By the way, that's another part of my hobby update. So, had a great game of our Final Fantasy game, Fabula Ultima, last night. We still play it on the same night that we used to play D&D on, so I still kind of refer to it sometimes as D&D, even though we've switched games. I have definitely told them, though, next time we do a proper D&D game, I'm so making a Druid Owlbear. And I've got to get me one of those meme t-shirts that say, Owlbear don't care. Oh my goodness. So, I've been spending some extra time with my lovely lady Lily this week. But just with the hecticness of work and stuff like that, can you believe in over a week now I haven't touched Baldur's Gate? I think part of that, though, is that I've had opportunity to play Baldur's Gate, but I knew I had this game coming up, and I'm like, I have to hustle And because as of Tuesday, Telemachus, good evening, my friend. Good to see you. As of Tuesday evening, this was still new in box on sprue. And so I just built it this week and, you know, got it primed and working on it now. So kind of because I was kind of behind the curve on, same thing with the blade guard. The blade guard literally got built today. Not the blade guard, the Custodes Blade Champion just got built today, if you can believe it. Again, because I knew I had this game coming up, and I'm like, oh crap, I need to be able to use these units in game, and they're not even built yet. So you got the dark red on the inside of the robes there. That's why I wanted to go ahead and do this, because I knew if it was glued to the base, never be able to reach in there and get the inside of the robes painted. Skull, greetings, brother. Some love there from the chat, Telemachus. Hope you're doing well, friend. We're working on some Custodes tonight, Telemachus. Specifically, Custodes for a game I have with Brother Atlas tomorrow. Hanging and vegetating. Hey, that sounds good to me, my man. I could use some vegetating time myself. You know, I got to say, this game I have scheduled with Brother Atlas has been very motivating, because these, like I said, I've been collecting Custodes for a couple of years now, and there's no telling how long these kits have been sitting in that pile in the corner, that tower in the corner. But, you know, we have a game this weekend, boom! These guys went from new on sprue as of Tuesday to assembled, primed, and being painted now. And I think that's really the important part, because even though they probably won't be finished for our game tomorrow, I'm not going to just leave them, you know, 80% painted. You know, I'm going to get them close to the finish line, and then I'll probably follow up and finish them. You know, in a not too distant future, in the next week or so. And that'll be boxes out of that pile of shame, and boom, onto the finished collection, you know, the finished part of the collection. So then I'll probably build, I'm not sure if I'll build the Terminators or the jet bikes next. What do you think, chat? Do I go for the jet bikes or the Terminators next? It's never fun when you don't get to finish. Amen to that, brother. Amen to that. The Terminators. Oh, you and I were talking the other night, Atlas, and I was telling you I was pretty sure that the Terminators went up in toughness, but I wasn't quite sure just offhand. And yeah, the Terminators are toughness 7, which is pretty cool. So they get their 2 up, their 4 up, and with their toughness 7, they're definitely going to take more than a few bolter rounds to clear, that's for sure. Really, I should have done this cape separately as well as the arms, but I was being a mite slight impatient. Hopefully the cape won't be too bad. And the Terminator's special rule is that they can, once per game, be picked up and put into strategic reserves. Kind of like the Gaunt's Ghosts. Darklight Dreamer! It's a wolf brother. Hello, brother. I was just telling the chat earlier, had a great RP session last night playing some Final Fantasy in Fabula Ultima. We faced off with the Vampire Lord and his 2 demonic I don't know what to call them. They were posed as his dancers slash bodyguards, but in the end I don't think they were bodyguards at all. I think they were like patrons, like part of the source of his power, like he had made a pact with them. Seven is such an odd number, though. It really does protect them from all but thunderhammers in close combat. Exactly. There are quite a few things that hit with strength 6, and so I think the strength 7 is just enough to set them apart, or the toughness 7 is just enough to set them apart. Like a lot of your relic blades, and I want to say like Blade Guard veterans and stuff like that. Oh hey, with your all invul save army, that's another unit to look at, is Blade Guard veterans. They're considered some of the best melee in the Space Marine Codex. But yeah, a lot of that strikes in at strength 6, so a lot of like the captain's special relic weapons and stuff like that. I think a lot of that strikes at strength 6. I could be wrong, but I think so. I think Uriel's is strength 7, but I think his is special. So chat, I'm doing the bright red on the outside of the blade wizard's cape with the bright red, but on the inside I'm doing like a wine kind of color, and I think that is looking pretty nice against the blue. I'm always afraid to go too bright when I do blue and red, because like it looks good on Superman, but I'm afraid too bright of a red and blue ends up looking a little, you know, like kids' toys, a little too primary colored when they're too bright together. But I'm liking how that wine color is looking against the blue. 5 to 6 with abilities, but typically 5. Cool. I'm really glad that you guys had a good time. That's accurate. Basically a Warlock Patron equivalent. Hey, cool. A good time doesn't even cover the time I had. It was a blast. It really was a really awesome boss fight. That absolutely fills my heart. It is definitely a good feeling to know that people enjoyed your work as a GM, DM, whatever flavor you prefer. Storyteller, if you're in White Wolf. All right, next I'm going to do these red robes. And for the red robes, the way I got this highlight effect on here, on these folds of these robes, is I just thinned down the contrast a little bit, so that way the grayscale kind of dry brush pre-shading here is able to show up a little more. So that's what we're going to do now. I'm going to put 1, 2. We've got 3 models to do. We'll go ahead and do 3 brushfuls contrast medium. Red robes, but not red mage robes. I am very sure that we are not painting red mage robes. Ver. I'm afraid I need to drag my crass ass to bed, or I won't be able to roll out of bed at 5 o'clock tomorrow morning. Oh, that sounds rough, brother. Drive safely. Especially, you're driving the trailer tomorrow, right? So yeah, you really got to be safe. I gotta say, one of the things that makes it fun to paint with contrast paints is that with regular paints, you're often trying to be like super reserved. And with contrast paints, you're just kind of just taking a brush full and letting it flow, you know? Let it flow, let it flow. Oh, never mind. That could be the Korn Blood for the Blood God song. Let it flow, let it flow. And I gotta say, this Blood Angels Red is a lovely color. And I gotta say, even though I haven't done the metallics yet or anything, doing the red of the robes helps it look more finished already. Oh no, Ratsy. I don't think any of them are actually singing that. I think that they're more singing "Make It Stop." Been a couple of editions since I painted 8040K. I just built a Demon of Slush army, then got too busy and shelved it. Hard to get back to. That's understandable, my man, but that's why it's a hobby, you know. You don't feel motivated to do it, let it rest as long as you need to, but it's always waiting for you whenever you want to come back. Recently, I won a combat patrol for corn demons, so I might be starting demons myself. I never really had any interest in chaos, but you know, maybe winning that combat patrol was the little push I needed to get into worshiping the blood god. And to my FBI agent out there, please don't take me worshiping the blood god out of context. I've previously painted the large Nurgle flies. They were really fun to paint. They look like it. Brother Atlas, who just left the chat, he's got a set of those painted up, which will be cool. I think since he's got a Nurgle demon army, and I'll have a corn demon army. I think that'll be fun to put our demons against each other. Giggity. But yeah, his big giant fly rider things look pretty cool. So I could see where you definitely would have had fun painting those. Another fun fact, when I get a chest infection that makes my breathing rattly, I like to call it the Nurgle Gurgle. Ew. That's true. I think a lot of hobbyists call it something similar. I know whenever Steve from Who Took My Dice gets sick, you know, he calls it, you know, being touched by Nurgle or having the blessing of Nurgle. So I could definitely see that. All right, what is next? Uncle Nurgle brought them a present. I love this meme of a Death Guard, you know, a Nurgle blessed Chaos Marine giving an Ultramarine a present. Like, I brought you a present, or spoiler, it was the flu. Exactly. You know, he comes up to an Ultramarines guy and he's like, you know, we bring you the gift of gosh, we gotta look it up now. Meme Nurgle, the gift is disease. Is it the president? Okay. This is going to be one of those things that you see everywhere on Facebook, and the minute you go to look it up, the president is also a disease. Of course, I can't find it. Moving on. I was going to see the C word, but YouTube doesn't like it when people say that. You were going to say the vid. Oh man, I think I left my Gorgonta in my backpack, so I'll have to do a little bit later. There's one other place I can look, and that is the Frosted Fist meme section in the Discord. NVIDIA, yes. I feel like this was in my meme section at some point. Watch. I'm going to stop looking, and then tomorrow it'll be, like the first meme I see. I swear it looked like your video froze. Sorry, I got really focused looking for this freaking meme. You know what? You guys can look with me, so that way there's at least something to look at. Our source. Screen capture. Our source. We're going to capture. There we go. I think you guys are looking at my Discord now. Oldie but goodie. Do you have protection? The Emperor protects, baby. Oldie but goodie. He was looking at the maymays. Get me closer. I want to hit them with my sword. I'm not even on your team. For people who go to the gym, I suggest this. I've been using the Hershey syrup bottle as a water bottle for a month now, and I love the judging eyes it gets me at the gym. Totally me. Grey Knight. You are free to F the demonette. Am I? Are you? Them demonettes can be persuasive, yo. What's this? A note from the Sarge? Naked cowgirls here, not orcs. Steve is sure it's his lucky day. I'll have to change my screen name to Guardsman Steve. Well, I think we are officially past the president is also disease. Reference now. $50, whatever you want, baby. Can you paint my miniatures for me? Got off the GP bus and straight on the bus home. Nice. Okay. I'm officially off the rails here. So, I'm going to blank the screen here and then back to the paint chat. So, it has come to my attention that I cannot do the leather color now because I left the leather color in my backpack. So, we'll move on to the Necro Gold. And for the Necro Gold, the gold, instead of using my palette, just going to use this plain old MDF puck here. I try not to put my metallics on my rubber palette. But I am glad you don't have to stand around at the bus stop tonight, brother. And actually, it's actually kind of not bad that I don't have the leather colors, because I think for getting this glued down to the base, it's more important that I go ahead and get these boots painted. The inside of the pants and the boots and the inside of the robes were the most important as far as me getting to actually put all of these down on their bases, because I just didn't want to have to try painting them with the base obscuring some of these, you know, the bottom details here. Darklight, I was talking, so art of the week in 2 weeks? Possibly. Yeah, if I get any submissions. Obviously, because, you know, I took such a long, well, with the changes in the show, there was such a long break from art of the week. Obviously, nobody was in the habit of sending art of the week anymore. But now I have no problem doing it, but I just haven't had any submissions for a while. Which we'll get back to, I'm sure. I'm sure with me, you know, doing some streams, and then I gotta work, and then I do some streams. You know, getting consistent, I think in general, is going to be the biggest part of that. So, but yes, I was talking about how loosely my paint scheme is inspired by the blue and gold of Captain Power and the Soldiers of the Future, Darklight Dreamer. And I was wondering if that brought up any memories for you, my brother. Always a little scary. I'm glad I don't have to wait too. Yeah, those late night bus stations, man, can be kind of scary. But I feel you. I'm sure you remember all the times I used to have the late night Greyhound bus runs and have to wait around there for hours. Get the tip of the scabbard here in the old gold. I think that's another change I like. Whereas a lot of people do the Custodes in the really bright gold, I enjoy doing them in this desaturated gold called Necro Gold from scale 75. The more desaturated gold, I don't know. I think it just keeps it from being too blingy. Just because there's so much gold. Like, if I don't mind bright gold when it's an accent color, but I think a super bright gold in the quantity that Custodes usually has just a little too much for my tastes. And of course, you know, not talking any smack for anyone who paints them the traditional kind of gold color. You know, it's just not my personal preference. And we're going to hit this gorget here. That's what I forgot on the Pandemonium Custodes, the gold. Well, I'm still not doing it. Pandemonium Custodes? Is that the Custodes Richard painted? Yeah, that's the Custodes Richard painted up for you at one point, right? Am I remembering that correctly? Do I need to send pics? You absolutely can. I'll be happy to show them off. Hey. I'm thinking this guy's going to make it for tomorrow. I mean, he may not be fully painted, but I'm pretty sure I'll get him to where... I mean, I think now I could probably glue him to his base. He's got his pants, his underrobes, his boots. Now I just need to finish doing like the details on his chest and stuff like that, and then highlighting the chest so that way I can glue his arms on. And of course I'll probably paint up his cloak too. Not because I need it for the arms or for... Well, actually, they might get a little way of the arms. So yeah, I could consider it a necessity to go ahead and paint the cloak. Let me know if or when you send them, Brother Thomas. That way I'll know to toggle over my screen. And I will be happy to show them off. These little tiny golden chest details are just so fine. It can be hard, or it can be easy to color outside the lines, but that's okay. We'll just go back and clean it up. Paint over them a little. Bringing back our base blue color. There it goes. Thomas sent a photo. Well, we are about to look at, it's funny, because the title of this stream is about doing Custodes in our own paint scheme. And now we're going to do the same thing with Brother Thomas's Custodes. Oh yes. Man, I forgot how sexy these were. All right. We're going to go to Articles in Art. Go to Chrome. And we will select Messenger. Boom. All right, everybody, we're looking at Brother Thomas's gorgeous Custodes here. And he's gone for a gunmetal and kind of a swirly galaxy purplish kind of theme, which looks amazing. That is so cool looking. Painted up by Brother Richard of The Nerd Life. And he's a tattoo artist who does commissions on the side. And yeah, you can reach out to him on Facebook at The Nerd Life or Tattoo for You are both screen names he's used on there. And The Nerd Life can hook you up. Marble purple. Marble. Okay. It's a purple marble color. Love it. And the Heavy Blaze cannon here, the best anti-tank of all Custodes weapons. Very sweet looking. Dude, I love this color scheme. Richard did a phenomenal job with this marbling effect. It looks so good, brother. Richard does some absolute top-notch quality work. Man, those are some buttery smooth blends. Ooh, we got some Virtus Praetors here. Shield Captain. And then we've got a Telemon Dreadnought here. And I think that's with the special autocannon, right? And this is the loadout I'd like for my Virtus Praetors. I've got the Hurricane Bolters, but I've always thought the salvo launchers are the way to go. They look very cool. Oh yes. Oh yes, the big boy. I'm pretty sure that's the Ares assault ship. Ah, the Telemon is magnetized. Nice. I can't wait to bring out my Telemon Dreadnought tomorrow. I hope it does well. That is a gorgeous looking Custodes army, my brother. And back over here. Needs more infantry. Oh yes, but you've got a nice vehicle core. Now you do the infantry and boom, you're good to go. Now I know there's going to be less surface area to work with, On the infantry, are you going for the marble effect on the infantry too? All right, while we get that cleanup layer done on the Blade Champion, while that dries, haven't decided yet. Nope, still blurry. Always an interesting thing trying to figure out what is it focusing on to throw it off. Oh yeah, I know the white of my little silicone palette throws it off sometime. All right. Go here and hit some of this gunmetal color on some of the tubing. On this Blade Champion. Just cutting in some of this extra detail. I think always helps bring the miniature to life a little more. Brilliant. We've colored outside the lines a little bit, but that's okay. We can just paint over it, man. Marcos Castellanos. Wah! Wah indeed, my brother. The orc meta is rising to the top. How do you feel about the new orc codex? So I mentioned a little earlier in the stream that this upcoming game is going to be the last game that Atlas and I are going to play together in a couple of months. And so we both decided that we want to go out with a bang, both celebrating new armies. So that's why we're, I don't often play unpainted minis and stuff, but being that this is kind of a celebration and we want to celebrate with our new armies, it's kind of, I'm making a special exception. And I did think when we were considering what game to play, before we decided we're going to go the route of our new armies, making the game kind of my first proper go of the new Orc Codex. And I don't even know which way I want to go. Like, I love leaning into the Beast Naga stuff. I'm not sure. I know their detachment is like considered the bottom of the ones that exist, but it seems cool. I'm probably just going to keep using the Goth style one from the Index myself, because I love running the Beast Snaga stuff, and I like having the exploding hits. I have modified some models, but no painting recently. Haven't had time to play. Oh man, I understand that. But you love what you hear about the Orc Codex so far. That's awesome. It seems like a great time to be an Orc fan. Bully Boys would be my first choice. I need to work on some knobs. I could do a green tide easily right now. Oh, nice. I've never had that many boys before. I've got like 20 boys, 20 Beastnaga boys, and so I think I've got a total of, 40 boys and maybe 30 Gretchen. So I don't really have enough to make green tide work myself. And I think, actually, now that I think about it, I don't think Beastnaga boys even count for the green tide. Bully Boy sounds interesting, though. Getting that double wah sounds good. Give me a reason to finish painting up all the random knobs that I have. Because I think a lot of Orc players, especially if you collected any of the previous sets, I think most of us end up with more knobs than we knew what to do with previously. Just because traditionally they haven't been that good of a unit by themselves, but they're always great, as, leading other squads. So having like an actual motivating use to actually paint up full squads of knobs is pretty cool right now. Man, everybody is taking, like, starting their lists with Gazgul and 18 mega knobs right now, and I'm just, the way everybody's making that so standard, I'm just so worried that the knobs are going to get hit, or the mega knobs are going to get hit super hard with the nerf bat in the next balance update. Everybody's like, yeah, you take 18 mega knobs, of course. Don't get me wrong, they're amazing. But anytime you saturate the meta with three maxed out squads, that's when GW starts shaking the nerf bat at people. I have so many Black Reach knobs. I inherited some Black Reach knobs from my brother Dazrock when I got his Orc army, and I'm actually really grateful for that, because I inherited his Black Reach knobs, which just have, I don't know, a cool look that look different to different Orc knobs, and some Black Reach Death Coptas, and yeah, they're really cool sculpts. I'm really glad I got to inherit those from. I say inherit like something happened to Daz. He just got out of the game, and where he could have sold his orcs off and made some money, he said he'd rather them go to someone that was going to enjoy them, and so I was blessed with his Orc army. Actually, that's how I got into orcs. So, and it's funny because, like, with a couple of my armies my friends have gifted me, like, I didn't have any interest at all in orcs until he gifted them to me, and then, like, once I started painting them and kind of studying how to play them and stuff like that, I'm like, oh my gosh, painting orcs is so fun. And then I just let it consume my being for like the next, 2 years. I have 210 boys painted because we used to be able to have 30 to a mob. That's amazing. Holy crap. So now they're just sitting there waiting for the day that mob 30 strong comes back again. it's funny. I particularly took swapped the purple capes to red capes because I felt like purple robes was going to give me Skeletor vibes with all this blue and purple going on. And now that I've switched it to red, I'm kind of getting Doctor Strange vibes here. Which is cool because some people call the Blade Champion the Blade Wizard. Alright, we'll let this guy dry a bit. I think I will use the extra 10 in each mob in trucks. That sounds good. I think a squad of knobs in trucks sounds really good. Quick, cheap delivery. They can get out and do the smashy smash. Get back in the truck if they need to, or just continue down the line. Chopping them up. Got some bare plastic showing in the neckline here. So I'm just taking a little Vallejo surface primer. Covering up that bare plastic. Yeah, I don't know. I want to play with the Bully Boys if I get my regular knobs sorted. And I only have 5 mega knobs right now. I might look at getting a couple more to try the Bully Boys, just because double wah sounds amazing. I feel like, because I have a nicely painted War Boss on bike, even though he's Legends now, I could either A, use him as I've seen Striking Scorpions do, where they just use him as a Death Killer Wartrike, or could just run the Legends rules, because a lot of my friends are cool about using Legends. But now to use him, I need a squad for him. Before, I just had him, you know, riding as a boss on his own, like the previous rules, you know, system did. But now that he's got to be in a, or he needs to be in a squad, I don't know. I may need to look at. It's funny. I've had the War Boss on bike. I've never had any bikers, so I might need to look at getting some orc bikers soon. Continuing on my theme of painting up these boots, so that way I can glue them to their bases without obstructing my future painting. And already just trying to see around the robes kind of makes it a little difficult to get in here. Can only imagine if there was a base blocking the way, how much more difficult this would be. It's funny, I don't often sub-assembly anymore, just because I feel like You know, in my few years of practice, I've gotten better at painting around obstructions. But particularly like these robes and the bases have definitely made me not want to deal with trying to paint, you know, around all these details after they've been glued to the base. So there's some assembly there, and I've got some weapons crossed over the chest. And some of you know how irritating it can be to try and paint details underneath a weapon pinned to the chest. And I know some people go by the, why bother if I can't see it, you know, it doesn't need to be painted. But I know it would be a detail I'd be looking for. And so I just want to go ahead and fix it. I am looking forward to seeing how well the Squig Hog boys work in this new codex. Especially with the knob on Smash a Squig being a built-in part of the set now. Which is no big deal for me because I always ran him with the Squig Hog boys anyways. So it's just a little bit, actually a little more convenient for me, but I know some people just liked running him on his own for the mortal wounds. Yeah, so I was thinking about taking orcs against my brother Atlas with his guard before I realized he was bringing his new army. And I was wondering, with tanks that are going to be well screened by, like, you know, 80 bodies of infantry, I was wondering what orcs have really that can deal with anti-tank. Like, if you're facing off against a bunch of Leman Russes, Marcos, or if I'm facing off my orcs against a bunch of Leman Russes, what do you suggest is the best thing to do? So that way the Leman Russes don't just blow me up. I'm going to need to set a date to game, so I'll force myself to take the time to hobby and get models ready for a game. Man, so my trip to Dallas this year, I was hoping to meet you this year, but my trip to Dallas got canceled because the convention I go to every year, Project Acon, was canceled this year for financial reasons. They're transitioning basically how many Leman Russes. My brother usually brings four Russes and sometimes a couple of support vehicles like Chimeras. So, you know, often like six vehicles total. So, yeah, now that the mech guns have been kind of nerfed, I'm like, I don't even know what to bring against them. Like, the mech guns still have the Smasher, or not the Smasher, the custom Mega Blaster, which is good anti-vehicle strength and damage, but like, you know, it's only AP1, and Leman Russes and Chimeras are both a 2-up save. I'm like, I don't know if that reliably counts as anti-tank anymore. Try and chip them down with smasher guns, but then you're wounding on 5s. And then if I just try and leave it to melee, I mean, guard are good at having, like, you know, 40 to 60 people screening you out from their vehicles. So it's just like, what do I do? Gotta try and remember to paint the hoses behind the knees. A little flexible armor spot. Beast snaggers are a good option. I always use power claws to kill tanks. Okay. As far as screening, have to use a few mobs together to get rid of the screen, then charge or consolidate into the tanks to get the power claws into work. Okay, good advice, my brother. Good advice. Yeah, I was looking at how especially, I think it's the beast boss that can get the devastating hits on the vehicles, and then of course if you got the anti-vehicle keyword, you can get it on like devastating on a 4+ or something like that. I think that'd be pretty cool. All right, 2 sets of boots done. So we are already past 11, but I think I'm at least going to try and get all of these boots done before I log off, because I want to be able to glue them to their bases. If I can get these Wardens on their bases, that is a good chunk of my way to my goal tomorrow. And then do some supplemental painting tomorrow. And I think they will be ready to turn up to the battlefield. Turn up! Not only will they turn up, they'll be turned down for what? Thank you for the advice, Marcos. I am actually really looking forward to getting in some games with orcs in the future at my local game shop. One of the things I have been trying to focus more on this year is, you know, I have been for the last few years kind of like sheltering myself with my hobby, you know, just playing against the same few friends. And one of the things I wanted to focus on this year was just becoming a more active member of my local hobby community, right? You know, get to know the guys at the shop, play against, you know, a few people, you know, that I don't know already, that kind of thing. That's why I signed up for the War Dome event, because I knew a lot of the guys from my local shop were going to be there. I figured it'd be an opportunity to play against some people I don't normally play against, get to know some of the guys in my local shop a little better, which I feel like I'm succeeding on, getting to know the guys a little better. And yeah, you know, last few times I've been down to the shop, I feel like a welcomed member of the community. They're very cool guys. Which, you know, they've never not been welcoming. It's just that, you know, when you don't know people sometimes, well, at least for myself, I don't know people sometimes, I can be a bit shy. Once I know people, though, you know, I run my mouth too much, but yeah, so this has been kind of a good step towards that. And I think I want to definitely pick up the Orc Codex and make that one of the armies I play at the shop this summer. Of course, you know, brand new Custodes, I want to try them out. And I think I was telling Atlas that at the next event we do, even though they're not in a good spot right now, I might take my Imperial Knights to the next event. Just that way I can spend, you know, less time all keyed up. I'll just have, you know, 4 or 5 Imperial Knight data sheets to keep up with. Maybe a handful of stratagems. You know, just push around a couple of big robots. Big robots are cool. But who knows? Who knows? The only thing I know for sure I want to play is Morks. I feel like after taking the Wolves to the War Dome event, you know, I got a good 3 event games, 1 big mega team battle, 1 practice game. So I got a good, what was that, 4 or 5 games with my Wolves. So I've got that out of my system for now. I'm gonna be excited to play some Custodes. I'll probably play them a little bit just to keep me motivated to paint up the rest of the army. And then yeah, I think after that I want to turn my attention to playing my Orcs. Also, I've got a couple of boxes here back there in the Tower of Shame. And so if I paint up a few more Orc units, that'll get a couple more boxes out of my little Tower of Shame, which will make the missus happy. Sounds like a win-win to me. Not only do I have stuff in my little Tower of Shame that I want to paint, but I got some stuff I want to print too. I've had this STL from Puppets War. That's a Batmobile Megatrap Scrapjet, and I love all kinds of Batman stuff, and I think that would just be amazing to have. And so I'm definitely planning on printing that, adding it to my collection. And I want to, I really love Beastnagga Boys. Like I said, I've got 20 of them now. I had the opportunity when the box set came out. I said, somebody offered me their Beastnagga Boys for pretty cheap. And I said, thanks, bud, but I don't think I'm going to go past 40 infantry. And, you know, was it 40 infantry, 20 grots? I'm like 70 total infantry. Should be more than enough. I feel like a fool. Somebody offered me a discount on Beastnagga Boys, and this was before I really had been playing my Beastnagga Boys. I had no idea how much I would love them. And they're just so cool. And now I'm like, oh man, I could have had another 20. I would love to do an all-orc event someday. I've played a narrative game with 5 orc players versus 5 imperial players, but I think orcs versus orcs would be more fun. That would be amazing. Man, if you set one up, man, I will do my best to attend. Alright, all 4 sets of boots done, ladies and gentlemen. So, still a lot left to paint. Lots and lots and lots left to paint. But I think we can go ahead and slap down some bases. which will be enough to get me playing. Well, except for the guys, I still got to do their chest and the weapons that go over their chest. But we're making progress, guys. We're making progress. It's hard for me to pass up on discounted orcs. You know, I'm regretting it now. You are the wiser man, good sir. You are the wiser man. You know, I've never leaned super hard into infantry. You know, so I've always been more about the elites and the fast attacks and stuff like that. And so, you know, to previous mythos, the idea of needing more than 70 infantry, even if 30 of them are goblins, you know, just seemed unreal. Now that I've played orcs and guard for a couple of years, I'm like, I could use some more infantry. Anybody else do this when they glue their models to their bases? Put scores in like their feet, so that way there's places for the glue to have an extra bite into? Or am I just being extra? I suspect I'm just being extra. Never done it, but sounds like a good idea. Oh. I just, especially when I get like, you know, paint or primer on the bottom, I'm like, I'm not making plastic, you know, contact anymore. And so I feel like the scoring at least gives somewhere in the actual plastic to bite down onto. And also, I think actually with this guy being a 1 foot pose, I think I'm going to pin that. Again, I'm probably just being extra, but 1 foot poses always worry me. It's just going to snap off. What's your go-to plastic glue? When I do the plastic glue, it's Tamiya extra thin. Although I don't often use plastic glue. I don't know why. I've just always been preferred the super glue. Which I know is an unpopular opinion in our community. Especially since I've started using this premium stuff called Bob Smith Industries, BSI. It is my absolute favorite super glue. All right, we got him. Always use tester cement for plastic. I might try something new since I recently ran. Well, I like the Tamiya stuff, but I don't know if I'm a very good sample size because, like I said, I'm not a hardcore plastic glue kind of guy. I got distracted and was looking in the wrong drawer. All right, fam, that will do us. That was the goal for the stream tonight, was to paint enough that I felt like I could reasonably glue everything to their bases and get them ready to play. They ain't quite ready to play, not exactly. I still got 2 weapons that cross over the body I need to do. That'll be tomorrow Mythos' problem. But tonight's goal, we got them standing. Got them standing without giving up, you know, the ability to paint underneath their robes and the inside of their pants and boots and stuff like that. Or trousers, rather, for my friends across the pond. But yeah, there we go. Feels good to hit that goal. These gents will be hitting the battlefield tomorrow, playing versus Atlas's new Space Wolves army. Unfortunately, we're just because of some adulting stuff going on tomorrow, we won't be able to get started until late. So we're not going to make a battle report, but I am going to try and record some highlights of the game just to kind of show you guys how it's going with the new armies. So I'm looking forward to that. I'm going to put the camera back now. I'm going to blank out for the closing shot, guys. If you're able to get back in the swing of things hobby-wise and get a game in, Marcos, I'd love to hear your thoughts. especially, you know, since our Orc Codex is so new right now. And I haven't even had the chance to pick mine up yet. I just, because it came out at the same time as the Custodes one, and I've got a Custodes game. Obviously, I went for my Custodes Codex first, but the Orc one is definitely coming because y'all know how much I love my greenskins. All right. Did I put the camera back right? Yes. Is it super blurry? Also, yes. We'll use this instruction manual. Wardens. What's funny is earlier I was messing with my camera and could not get it to focus on my face to save my life. The second I started trying to show off some of my minis, which is still doing a good job there, that's when it decided it wanted to focus in on my face. Now it's capturing the mini just fine though, because I'm trying to recreate what I did earlier. Come on. Autofocus is a beautiful thing, guys. All right. We'll work one more time. Hey, there we go. All right, guys. We hit our goal for tonight. Wardens and the Blade Champion are all on bases, which is a good step to be able to play tomorrow. I'll do some more painting tomorrow, try and get it even closer to looking, you know, good for the tabletop. But we'll see how that goes. I really appreciate you guys joining me tonight, because after, like I said, the last 2 weeks, especially with work, have been absolutely crazy. Unfortunately, I will be working again next weekend, so I won't be able to stream next weekend, but hopefully things will calm down after that and I can get back to my regularly scheduled programs. Thanks to everybody who jumped in the stream tonight. Brother Atlas, Brother Marcos Castellanos, Brother Hellworks, Darklight Dreamer, of course, my flesh and blood brother. Brother Telemachus, thank you for joining tonight, sir. Ashley and Greg from Gamers with Coffee. Friendly Neighborhood Inquisitor, who's got some great updates and content out, including his tutorial on ZG style bases. Check him out. He'll be down in the Friends of the Frost and Fist link below. Charles and Who Took My Dice. Thank you everybody for joining tonight. If you guys liked tonight's episode, make sure that you grab up an ox and smash that like button in the name of the Emperor. Drop us some comments down below, especially if you're watching from the archives. Feel free to be part of any of tonight's ridiculous conversations. And if you guys are not yet subscribed to any of my friends of the Frosted Fist down below, and if you're not subscribed to this guy, then definitely love to have you as part of the pack here on the Frosted Fist. Until next time, guys, stay frosty.